Hello and welcome to a more unusual Rofo the Yerm video. It's unusual because typically I ramble to myself for a little bit and I jot all my thoughts down onto like a Google Doc and then I revise that into like a real script, and then when I sit down to record these scripts I like am reading off the page while I'm like talking, and it makes the process go a lot faster for me. It keeps me from like rambling off on all these different wild tangents. It's typically a good process for me that I learned over the course of the last couple of years. The general thesis for this video, and it might be in the title, but this is like all of the clips that I saved from like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning. Now, why do you care about that? So, every once in a while, my videos gets big enough where it reaches a slightly different audience than my usual audience. And then I start getting all these comments about how Elden Ring is actually a dead game, or like the fastest FromSoft PvP game to die, or something like that, which is very hilarious. And then when I try to tell them, like, you're wrong, I can get activity literally whenever I want. All I have to do is like boot up one of my characters and spam the finger a little bit, and I'll get like a ton of invasions, and they always are like, well, that's not my experience. So here is my experience. Here is like, I don't know, 10 to 15 clips, might be more. I'm just like kind of recording this on the fly, not really looking at any of my notes here. Anyways, I always get into arguments with these people. Be like, hey, you know, the game's not dead, maybe you're just doing something wrong. And they always get really mad about it. And when they get really mad about that, then I just like stop treating them like another person, and I just am like, maybe you're just dumb. Sorry, can't help you. Rofo the Germ can help you like put together a weird mid-level build, but I'm sorry, he cannot cure your stupidity. He can't prevent you from continuing to whack your head against a wall. You're welcome to, though. Please proceed, but with the head whacking. It's all you, baby. Anyways, so I get these comments whenever my videos break containment, as I like to call it, which is like, I have my subscriber base, which is like, I think there's like 500 people or so who seem to just like watch my video within the day that it comes out. And though YouTube tells me that those people are all like subscribers to me. And then over the course of like 3 days, typically another 500 to 1,000 people will watch that video, either like other subscribers that I have, or like new people that it's just like that the YouTube algorithm is reaching out to them and sending them my video. And that's cool, but those people tend to be like people who like Souls PvP. And that's a pretty small audience, I guess, and like my videos tend to reach like a pretty regular audience. But once it gets outside of that sphere, then it starts to reach like the people who watch the much bigger YouTubers, the people who have like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And those people, I think, are being fed a line about this game being dead, or they're just like looking for invasions at weird places. There's another level of breaching containment, which is then when you start to get to like people who don't realize that Elden Ring has PvP, or people who hate Elden Ring PvP. And so once you start getting those comments are like very unfun to deal with, because they're just like, why do you do this? And I think only one of my videos does that, which is that Twink video, which like I'm like endlessly frustrated by it. I'm happy it's out there because it's at least like reaching some people and like getting people to think a little bit harder about like what is twinking in Elden Ring. And recently YouTube actually hit me with a copyright strike for that video because they claimed like one of the Hades soundtracks that I used in it, some random asshole company claimed that, like, they said they owned the licensing to it. And I sent YouTube just the snarkiest fucking message in reply that was just like, this is fair use, you absolute imbeciles. And like in 2 days, they sent me back a thing that said like, hey, we've like the other company has backed down from their copyright strike. So that felt good because I know that copyright strikes are a really annoying thing. I'm mentioning this for two reasons. One, just to let you know that any video game soundtrack is pretty much considered fair use by YouTube. I think this has to do with the fact that if they were to like make some video game soundtracks like not fair use, then it would be borderline impossible to make YouTube videos about that game, or just to like show gameplay in general from that game. So this is just kind of me saying like, hey, if you're making videos out there, you can always use like a video game soundtrack because it's considered fair use. So just something I found helpful like a couple of years ago when I started making YouTube videos. I guess the other reason I bring up this copyright strike is because like I had a chance to like release myself from getting these inane comments on my video. And because part of that is like with the copyright strike, YouTube kind of tells you that they're going to show this video to less people if it has a copyright strike. And I was like, you know what? No, more people should see this video. Which I don't know why I did. I'm going to get more comments on it, but like for every stupid comment I get on that video, I hope there's like someone out there being like, huh, what even is twinking in Elden Ring? And then just like to get the gears turning in their head is kind of all I want from that. But anyways, yeah, last video I put out there, I got some, it broke like the first level of containment, and so I got a few comments about how this game is dead. So this is just kind of a demonstration of like, maybe if you only invade meta level, this game might be seemingly dead, but like, if you're really just looking for activity, mid-levels are wide open and super active all the time. So this is at like 60 plus 12 regular weapons plus 5 somber weapons. It is one of my favorite builds that I just keep coming back to because Raptors of the Mist is like such a like perfect Elden Ring tool that I think they made without knowing how perfect it would be for invasions. It's throughout this video I'm gonna probably stop calling it Raptors of the Mist because Sekiro's version called Mistraven is a far superior name, and I have no idea why they went to Raptors of the Mist. I will blame FromSoft's or probably Bandai's like localization team for fucking this up. But anyways, Mistraven's phenomenal because so many people just want to swing at you. In general, in Elden Ring, people like get hit by something, and their overwhelming response seems to be, I'm gonna swing back. I gotta hit him back, the person who just hit me, instead of like rolling away, right? And I think there's something to be said for just like, that's how a lot of gamers react in general in PvP games, which is that like, we gotta be aggressive, we gotta push. And I get that response, but I think there's something in gamers that like, if something moves, they gotta kill it. And if violence isn't the first means of like action in a world, they kind of tend not to know what to do. And so like, it kind of makes sense that like people's reaction to getting hit is to hit back. And Mistraven is like a perfect counter for that. It's like, boom, I just hit you, and then you're just gonna swing directly out of this, and I get to directly counterattack that. It's also kind of like a parry that like has much wider timing, and that like you're anticipating their attacks, but it's a lot more forgiving. So you are constantly like opening up these windows for counterattacks. I've made a build video about this, but it was a different character, and I was like a faith build, so because I wanted to use the what is it, the winged scythe, the one that like blocks healing, which is a bit of an absurd weapon in this game. But anyways, and so that was a pretty fun video. I don't feel like I need to elaborate on it, but I think it might be fun to like kind of remaster it of like what I'm doing now. Because at the time I was using like the claw talisman, which boosted jump attacks, and like the raven feathers, which is what I'm wearing here, which also boosted jump attacks, and those have both gotten nerfed. So I think it would be worth talking about in general, like how this build has changed. But I don't know, I might not. But it's a really good build for rune level 60. people are kind of wary of rune level 60 because like the word of mouth is that the downscaling algorithm kind of sucks at this level, or it's at its worst at this rune level. But this build is like low-key a little bit mean and can output like a lot of damage because, you know, who knew like power stance jumping attacks do a lot of damage in this game. So it's like pretty honest. Like there's not a lot of the stuff that you get after rune level 60. And it's all stuff you can kind of find around this range. But it also does a lot of damage and isn't just like your run-of-the-mill bleed build that you found on YouTube. So I love it. Power Stance Scythes is a very underrated Power Stance moveset. Like every attack has its uses. The L1s aren't great, but they're kind of really good at like roll catching with the second hit. Jumping attacks look awesome, and the running attacks get a lot of people, and it just does really good damage. It's all around really good. I don't calculate a win percentage ever. I like don't keep track of like my wins versus my losses, but I feel like I win a lot of invasions at rune level 60 with this, to the point where it's like sometimes surprising if I don't win an invasion with like this build. And it's funny because it's a pretty simple build. Like the whole gimmick is that I'm gonna misraven your attacks, and people like don't learn the first couple of times that you misraven their attacks. Like they'll just keep swinging at you. I mean, I'm thinking about this in real time, right? I'm like, well, of course they're gonna keep swinging at you because it's like that's how you kill someone in this game. But I guess it's more so that like you'll misraven enough attacks where you'll get them with a jumping attack because they'll run out of stamina, especially with big weapons. Two Gugs, like 2 players with Gugs, is a very deadly combo no matter like what rune level you're at. I guess early levels doesn't matter, whatever. It's 2 Gugs is a pretty big deal because the hit stun is pretty enormous. But with this is like that's like the perfect matchup for Misraven, because I can just like roll one attack, Misraven the other, and like jump on someone else's head through that Misraven. It's a good time. It's a really good time. I like this build a lot. I'm considering making like another build that uses Misraven and some other stuff, just to like have another build where I get to use this after war more frequently. But yeah, that's just kind of the stuff I wanted to highlight. To kind of bring things all the way back around. These are like, I don't know, a bunch of invasion clips that I got on like a Thursday night Pacific time, and like a Friday night Pacific time, and then a Saturday morning Pacific time. Which I don't know if there's something about like those times that make it super popular, but I feel like Thursday is just like a regular ass weeknight. And Saturday morning is like nothing super special, right? So I don't know. I'm just trying to point out that like activity is there all the time. Like, let's pull up Steam charts. Right now there are 36,000 people playing Elden Ring at the time of recording this, with a 24-hour peak of nearly 60,000, right? I'm looking at the numbers for April and March. In April, there was last 30 days, the peak players was nearly 70,000. In April, it was 76,000. And in March, there was 111,000 people playing Elden Ring. Sorry, actually, almost 112. Whatever. My point is, like, there is definitely activity. And within that activity, there's a ton of people who are just co-oping. And most of them are at mid-level. Like, this is the real reason I make most of my builds at mid-level, is because that's where, like, guaranteed activity is all the time. I get a lot of these comments that are like, oh, what was it, the co-op mod really killed activity on PC. If it's decreased activity on PC, I haven't seen it. Again, if activity later in the game at, like, rune level 150 and above is slow, like, just come on down. Mid-levels are always popping. Honestly, the lower you get, the more activity you get. I will get non-stop invasions at like rune level 30, 40, 50, and 60. 70 and 80 get a little dicier, like there's a little bit more time between invasions, but there is There's so much activity. I don't know how anyone can complain about this. And I guess why these comments like rile me up is because like I feel like they're just being parroted by like much larger YouTubers and streamers who, like, if they get a little bit of downtime at meta level, they instantly start complaining. And then when they do have activity, they're complaining about that activity too. And to me, it's always just like, damn, it sounds like you don't like this game, so stop playing it. But those people never will, because they know that's the audience that they've built, and they could never possibly let go of a little bit of clout. And the other thing here is that, like, people love to claim a game is dead, especially FromSoft fans love to claim that the game that just came out that they don't like as much as the last game is now dead, because that reinforces their dislike of the game, right? Honestly, if you like Dark Souls 3 and you don't like Elden Ring and you don't play Elden Ring anymore, like, good for you. I'm actually, like, that's not even like a, like, sarcastic good for you. Like, thank you for recognizing that you don't like a game and, like, just stopping playing it instead of forcing yourself to play a game that you don't like. That's got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, is like people playing a game religiously that they claim to hate. So I remember when Dark Souls 3 came out, all these like YouTubers like Inferno Plus and like even, I don't know if Ouroboros ever made this claim, but it was like that kind of crowd who made the claim too, which is that Dark Souls 3 was like dead on arrival. Like, it's a super dead game already, and the game's only been out for 3 months. And it's just like every single time a new game comes out and changes the invasion formula, they lose some players. Those players then say the game is dead, and then like a year or two later they come back and play it anyways religiously. It always happens like that. So I guess I'm just like pushing back on that notion of game dead, because game alive. There we go. That's what I had to say in today's video. If this video is longer than 17 minutes, like, it's just going to be other clips that I gathered with like no additional commentary or anything like that. So if you've got your fill of Rofo speaking and you're just here to hear the luscious, echoey sound of my voice, you can sign off here. But yeah, that's all I got to say for today. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.